Hey, what is up, my Pulse peeps? It's your friendly neighborhood Khalil right here for you. Pastor Khalil, just want to announce a few things for you. If you are not in the loop already, then you might not know that this week, back up. You might not be aware that last week we launched our first ever squads, like in homes. So middle school, high school, guys and girls in homes. You guys finally broke free of quarantine, got to hang out with each other, have a lot of fun. I heard so many great things about it. And I would love for you, if you're a student watching and you're not connected with squads, to get connected right away. So all you have to do is go to Instagram, search pulse.students, follow us, and then send me a DM and just say, hey, I want to be in a squad. And we'll make it happen. We'll get you connected and we'll get you in a squad as soon as this Wednesday. But without further ado, hey, can I just say, smash that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all of that goodness so that you're in the loop on everything that we do on the Pulse page. We're gonna do weekly videos from here on out for like forever and a half. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on all of that goodness coming up. Now, this week, we have a special guest speaker. I mean, he's not a guest to Hope Church. His name is Mark Robinson. He's actually our lead pastor at Hope Church, and he has a message for you this week. So I'm going to get out of the way and let him take over. Here he is. Check it out. Pay attention. It's some good stuff.
Hey, Pulse students, it's great to be with you, coming to you via video. I wished we were together in person. That's always a lot more fun, but I'm glad that we can connect in this way. And so just looking forward to these next few moments with you. And I want to talk to you on the theme of wisdom, okay? No fancy titles, just talk to you about wisdom. Now, imagine with me if God were to come to you in a dream and he were to ask you this question: what do you want? Like if you could have one thing, what do you want? Now, I found this survey with a similar question in it from a magazine several years old, and they asked this question: if you could say in one word what you want more of in your life, what would that be? And so I've got this top 10 list, and we're going to start with number 10 and work our way to number 1 of how people answered this question. And it wasn't just students, it was a cross section of students and adults and so on. So here we go. Number 10 was passion. You know, to have like energy for life. Number 9 was stability. Number 8 is confidence. Next was fulfillment. Number 6 was balance. You know, life can be kind of crazy, and so to have a balance between stuff like school and the rest of life, that kind of a thing. Number 5 is joy. Number 4 is peace. Number 3 is freedom. And number 2 is money, like show me the money. And then number 1, drum roll please, is happiness. That was the number 1 answer. People said, I just want happiness. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, God asked a very similar question to King Solomon. Okay, question is found in 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 5. And so God comes to Solomon in a dream and said to him, what do you want? If you'll just ask, I'll give it to you. What do you want? Now, I think we're pretty funny people. Now, there's a lot of ways you could go with that. I just think we're kind of funny, maybe funny odd, funny, but we're funny people. Sometimes we don't even know what we want, right? If you ask me one day, I'll have an answer for you. It's kind of something that's top of mind. Maybe it's something I've been thinking, feeling, or maybe reaching towards, something I think I need or want, or something I think is going to make me happy, whatever it might be. And so that's how I would answer on that day. And then like the very next day, sometimes like the next minute, I've already changed my mind. There's already something else that I want, need, think I need to have, whatever it might be. And, you know, don't give me that, not what I said just a moment ago, now give me this. I mean, we're funny people. We don't always know what we want. But Solomon knew exactly what he wanted. And so here's how he responded to God's question. Okay, here's how the king responded. He said in verse 9, and this is right in 1 Kings chapter 3, give me an understanding heart so that I can govern your people well and know the difference between right and wrong. For who by himself is able to govern this great people of yours? I mean, Solomon, he was understanding as a king, he had a lot of responsibilities, and he needed all the help he could get. And when he had a chance to answer this question, he said, what I need more than anything is the ability to be able to make wise decisions, to make judgment calls, okay? And so it says in verse 10 that God, the Lord, was pleased that Solomon asked for wisdom. And then God breaks down what I think were the top three requests in that day, what people could have asked for, what Solomon could have asked for, and how he would have maybe answered that question. The first thing that God mentions, I'm going to go number 1, 2, 3. The first thing he mentioned was health. You know, when our body's in pain, when we're struggling with sin, sickness, disease, all of those kinds of things, that's not good. Yeah, you know, so health was like a top answer. The next thing was wealth. So there's health and then there's wealth. A lot of us would want to answer that question with money because we think that money could solve a lot of problems. It doesn't necessarily, but it wouldn't be always a bad idea to have more money, right? And then the third thing that God mentions is the death of enemies, right? I mean, we all have some people that make our life not so pleasant. And if they were no longer in the picture, if somehow they could be taken out of our lives, we would feel a lot better. We'd be a lot happier. I remember back in the 7th grade, I was living in Sweet Home. And but every day, at least many days, coming home from school, there was an 8th grader named Conrad. Conrad, if you maybe watch this online video broadcast here, I'm coming for you, man. No, I'm joking. But Conrad knew that my dad was the pastor of the Sweet Home Assembly of God Church, which is now Hope Church Sweet Home. And he would follow me from the junior high to home, which was fairly close, to about 2 blocks away. But he would just be mocking me and bullying me. And at the 7th grade, I was still quite a bit smaller than him. And man, I didn't like it. There was nothing about it that I liked. If you could have given me the opportunity to no longer have Conrad as an enemy, that in the day could have been pretty appealing. But I want to talk for a moment about what wisdom is not. What wisdom is not. Wisdom's not information. Sometimes we think information is helpful, and it is, but just having a lot of information doesn't necessarily make us wise. I mean, it's amazing now. If we have questions, all we have to do is pull out our phone. We can, now just get the answer in minutes through Google or through some other search engine, right? But that doesn't necessarily make us wise. Wisdom is not intelligence. Remember one day I was at Willamette University, was doing some studying at the Hatfield Library, and I'm there in the library for whatever reason. I don't know why this dawned on me this particular day, but I'm looking at all the books. Don't even know how many thousands of books there are at Hatfield Library. And I'm standing looking at an aisle, and I thought to myself, if I could memorize all the information in this one set, in this one row of bookshelves, not even both sides, just one side, wow, that would be pretty amazing. Like I pretty much don't even have that much information, intelligence in my mind. But even if I accomplish that, if I could, there's still this whole library with tens of thousands of books that I wouldn't have any clue. Someone said it this way: we're all ignorant on different topics. It's true. We might be smart in one area and totally oblivious in another area. Wisdom is not necessarily intelligence. And then wisdom also is not intuition. We talk about having a gut feeling sometimes, and that can be helpful, but sometimes it can be way off as well. So wisdom is not necessarily our intuition. So it's not information, it's not intelligence, it's not intuition. Now, one day I was with my oldest daughter. I think at the time she was 16 or 17 years old. And we used to, and still, like to have these little discussions about life and so on. And she was attempting in this discussion, this father-daughter discussion, to tell me and to make her point that her generation was going to be smarter than all previous generations because they had more information and better technology than anyone who's ever existed for all humanity kind of thing. And my counter to her point was this: information and intelligence don't necessarily make a person smart. Because if it did, why do people do the same stupid things they've always done forever and for all time? Okay? Which I thought was a pretty good point, right? Now, I just used the word stupid. And it reminds me, this happened a number of years ago. there was a family in our church that I knew actually quite well. I didn't know this about them, though, that they had a rule, a family rule. You probably have some family rules as well. They had a family rule that the word stupid could not be used in the house. You know, there's a brother and two sisters, and I think stupid got thrown around quite a bit, and like, you stupid idiot, come over. And so that was a no-go zone. But I didn't know anything about that. And we actually knew this family well, and we were in small group together. And one Sunday night, we did our small group on Sunday night. Our small group was meeting, and they showed up. Parents, kids, they all showed up at the small group. And the kids were like, Pastor Mark, you said a bad word in church today. I'm like, I did? Like, I didn't know I said a bad word. That's not good. Like, what did I say? You said stupid. I'm like, okay, really? I said stupid. So, yeah, we can't say the word stupid in our house. Well, I love this family so much and these kids so much. I actually, from that point forward, really tried hard to not say the word stupid when I was preaching or when I was in small group and they were within listening distance out of respect for them. But I'm pretty sure they're not watching this Pulse student broadcast today. So stupid is the word because people do stupid things. I can make a list. I probably can make a long list of the stupid things I've done, but people do stupid things. We live selfishly. Living selfishly doesn't make a lot of sense because if we're generous, if we're a giving person, we're going to have no shortage of friends. If we're all selfish and self-absorbed and we always make everything about us, no one wants to hang out with us. So selfishness doesn't make any sense. People do a lot of stupid things when it comes to sex or lust, and they get controlled by these desires and make really bad choices and decisions and mess up their lives dramatically. I would say that jealousy and envy are stupid because they control us. They control how we feel, sometimes how we think about things and even about people, just driven by jealousy. They're very strong emotions. Power can be pretty stupid. I don't mean power like plug in something into the socket in the wall, electrical power. I mean the kind of power where we try to control and dominate people and situations around us. And powerful people, power people, are not very pleasant people. Maybe you've noticed that. If you haven't yet in life, you will find out that power people are not pleasant people. And then greed is stupid. Greed, man, a lot of people, it's all about the money. It's all about gaining wealth. It's all about accumulating a lot of wealth and a lot of things, a lot of toys and whatever that might be. It's not a very wise way to live. And so Solomon is credited, King Solomon, with writing the Proverbs. And it's a book of the Bible, right maybe in about the middle of the Old Testament. And Proverbs chapter 4 actually strongly encourages us to get wisdom. Like if you get asked one thing in life, you can have one thing, what would it be? And Solomon would say, get wisdom. And wisdom, we've said what it isn't, but here's what it is. It's divine insight. It's how and what God thinks. Okay? It's God downloading to us the things we need to know to make smart choices and smart decisions, judgments. Okay, so let me read a couple of verses here out of Proverbs chapter 4, verses 5 through 8, New Living Translation. It says, get wisdom. Get wisdom, develop good judgment. Don't forget my words or turn away from them. Don't turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. One of the benefits of wisdom. Love her and she will guard you. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you could do. Tweet that, right? And whatever else you do, develop good judgment. If you prize wisdom, she will make you great. Embrace her, and she will honor you. I mean, if I could summarize these verses here, these 4 verses, it really is just a strong encouragement. We need to get wisdom so that we will do wise things. Because without wisdom, we're going to do stupid things over and over and over again. Well, I want to tell you about a guy. His name is Ted Zhu. And Ted Zhu was an award winner, but not for a really good reason. Annually, there are these awards, maybe you've heard of them, likely you haven't, called the Darwin Awards. And the Darwin Awards are given to people who do stupid things on their own, okay? They do stupid things on their own that actually results in their death, okay? The end of their life. And Tetsu, his story comes from October of 2019, so not all that long ago. Lived in Japan, and he decided one day that he was going to hike the iconic Mount Fuji, all right? Right there in Japan. And the trail going up the mountain, it's a very massive mountain, similar to Mount Hood in a lot of ways. The trail is really cold and slippery, and that's the summertime, okay? So he's not hiking in the summertime. He's climbing, hiking in October. Winter has already begun. This is the off season for climbing Mount Fuji. And during this time of year, things can be really, really dangerous. And a winter climber needs the proper gear. They need, including shoes, they need climbing experience. And then they need, third, a lot of common sense. And Tetsu lacked all of these things. So he's wearing his street clothes, and he's wearing shoes that are more like what you would use walking the sidewalks of Tokyo, like 60 miles away. And he's equipped with nothing more than some climbing poles, right? And that was it. So Tetsu decided that it would be a brilliant idea on this day to live stream his climb up the mountain. And so he had his smartphone in one hand, and then he had his climbing pole in the other, and he flips on the live stream and he starts his trek up the mountain. And he titled the video, the beginning of the live stream, "Let's Go to Snowy Mount Fuji." Kind of sounds like a walk at a ski resort, like you're up at Hoodoo or Mount Hood or something. And viewers began tuning in, okay, watching him make this climb. And the trail started out, you know, fairly nice on ash because it's a volcanic mountain. And the ash eventually turned to snow, and then it went to deep snow. And Tetsu began to complain about how cold he was getting and about how his hands were getting numb, even though he did have mittens on or some kind of gloves on. And at one point he said in Japanese, he said, "I wished I had brought heat packs." You know how you can put heat packs in your gloves to keep your hands warm. And then he said, "Well, wait, I think I'm starting to slip." So now the snow has turned to ice. Now, for most of us, we would think with how conditions have changed, how Tetsu was dressed, it would be enough for someone to go, you know, it's probably a good idea to stop. To stop climbing the mountain, to stop the live stream, to give up and come back another day. But it wasn't enough to discourage him. I mean, he had an audience now. He had people watching him make this climb. And so here he is constantly juggling his smartphone and his climbing pole. And he actually makes the statement, translated from Japanese, "must continue to operate." And he's talking about the live stream. Almost as if it had kind of become the most important thing of the day was to actually be able to broadcast what he was doing. And as you'll see in just a moment, because I'm going to show you his video, the trail is just getting steeper and steeper and narrower and narrower. It's getting slicker by the moment, by the step. And the fence that was alongside the trail in some spots is now moved away, and the trail getting narrower with no fence. He's now walking right on the edge with a great drop off on the side. And he actually says, if you can imagine, he said, "Oh, this place is getting slippery, getting dangerous." He said, "I'm trying to walk by the rocks." Yes, rocks. It's a steep downhill. And he's talking to himself, like I think I would be talking to myself. And he's cautioning himself, like, don't fall. Don't fall. Don't slip. Don't fall. And he ends up getting amazingly close to the summit of Mount Fuji, amazingly close for an amateur hiker in the wintertime. And he finally says these words, "Wait, I'm slipping." And I'm going to let you watch the rest of the story.
海の反射綺麗。そうする。あ、そう、こういうとこちょっと危険よね。またかな。またかな。あるいは膝の裏しゃがんで。ちょっと行こう。ちょっとだけマシになった。指ちょっと待って行こう。脇作戦で。うわ、滑る。うん、滑んな。ここ滑るな。危険、ちょっと危険。ちょっと待って、シャドウが 30度ぐらいあるけど、ちょっと待って。滑るな。危ないな。ちょっと待って、ここ岩あるでしょ。その岩を伝っていこう。この小さい岩。危ない。そう。なかなか危ない、ここな。滑って下山する。よし。岩を耐える。やばい。よし、行こう。斜面になっちゃってんだ。この道が埋まってね、半分ね。雪で。よし、行こう。行けた。道合ってるのこれ。なんか外埋まってんだけど、雪で。よし、行こう。ここも危ないね。ちょっとね、斜面。滑る。うわ。
Those three words, wait, I'm slipping, end up becoming the final three words that Tetsu would speak on this earth. Never letting go of his smartphone until he absolutely had to, he drops it. As viewers, we can see in the final scene you saw is his climbing pole frozen up in the air. Frozen because the image and the phone had gone offline. Having made no attempt to save himself, to self-arrest is what they call it. It's where you take your climbing pole or your pickaxe and you jam it into the ground or the ice, whatever you can, to stop yourself from falling. And they wound up finding Tetsu's body a half mile down the mountain. That's how far he fell. As his final act on this planet, what Tetsu showed us all was how to win a Darwin Award, which is not exactly a great accomplishment. See, what I've found out is that information, intelligence, intuition, all of those things, even if we have them in great amounts, can cause us sometimes to be blind to our blindness. And what we need more than health and wealth and the death of our enemies, as great as all those things may be, right, is divine insight. We need God's mind. We need God's thoughts inside of us. Not what do I think or what do I want or what do I feel or even what do I believe. As important as that is, it's what does God want? See, here's the dirty little secret, the devil's dirty little secret. The devil doesn't want us to ever slow down and ask the question, what is the wise thing to do in this situation I'm in? What is the wise thing to do? What the devil wants us to do is hurry up and to make a choice, make a decision, and to go with what we think, with what we want, and what we feel. I read an article recently in Psychology Today, and it said that you and I are making 35,000 decisions or choices every day. A lot of those we make subconsciously. Okay, we don't even really think about it. Obviously we do because every action is preceded by a thought, but it's kind of pre-programmed in our brain. But we make a lot of decisions, whether it's 35,000 or something less. And as we approach each day, here's my encouragement to you, and we're making a constant stream of these decisions. I mean, we're just being bombarded with choices all day long. I just think it's vitally important that those choices that we make consciously, we stop. And we ask the question, what is the wise thing to do? What is the God thing to do in this situation? Now, I'm going to close now. And I just want to say this. Some of you may find yourself in a pretty challenging situation today where you're being faced with some really critical decisions. And I want you just to pause and ask yourself, what is the wise thing to do in this situation? I mean, and if you find that you're in danger of slipping, kind of like Tetsu, okay? Remember, wisdom does not ignore the warnings, doesn't run through the stop signs. Wisdom stops and asks that most important question. You know, hey, none of us sets out to win a Darwin, okay? None of us does. But unless we're listening to God and following God and asking Him to help us with all the choices and decisions that we make, a Darwin could be in our future, right? And that's not good for any of us. Pastor Khalil's going to come and close out the gathering tonight. God bless you.
Well, that was a great message from Pastor Mark. Kind of a sobering one, but also a really encouraging one. Wisdom. Seek wisdom. Chase after wisdom. What kind of wisdom? God's wisdom. And you might not be summiting a mountain, but all of us are navigating through life. And the one thing I know is most of the world is trying to navigate this life on their own wisdom, their own limited, finite knowledge. But you belong to the creator of heaven and the earth. You belong to the creator of the universe. You belong to the one with infinite knowledge. You're a child of his, and his wisdom is available to you. Seek his wisdom. Chase after him. There's nothing more valuable than the wisdom and the truth of God. It'll save you from a lot of hardship. And kind of like Pastor Mark said, I would just encourage us. You may be going through a challenge. You may be facing a difficult junction, a big decision, or you might just be participating in some things and there's some warning lights going off around you. Wisdom, as Mark said, does not ignore the warning signs, and it does not blow through the stop signs. It stops, it pauses, and checks in with God. I hope you'll do that today. I hope you'll search your own heart. Say, God, search me and reveal if there's anything I need to be paying attention to. Grant me your wisdom. How do you gain wisdom? You ask God for it, like Solomon did. You pray to him, you listen, and you spend time in his word. Psalm 19, David has some things to say about the words of God. He says this, I believe it's around verse 7. He says, the law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The statutes of the Lord, well, they're trustworthy, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the soul. The commands of the Lord, they're radiant, giving light to the eyes. They actually help us to see with clarity. The fear of the Lord is pure, it endures forever, and the decrees of the Lord are firm. All of them are righteous. He goes on to talk more about the word and the law and the precepts and the commands of God, and he says they're more precious than tons of gold. They're sweeter than honey from a honeycomb. And by them, he says, your servant is warned. We are warned, we're given direction, and in listening to them, there's great reward. This is the value of God's wisdom, and I hope you will chase after it and seek God more and more. I don't want you to leave and just close the video and let that be the end, but I would say, how are you going to respond? I don't want you to just blow past the warning signs, because there will be a slip in your future if you do. I can almost guarantee that. But God would like you to live by his wisdom. And as a child of his, are you allowing him to speak into your life? Are you allowing him to guide you? Are you allowing him to replace your knowledge? Where there's tons of knowledge in this world, tons of stuff on Google, but wisdom is in very, very short supply. Will you allow him to fill you with that today? Do you have a desire to seek that today? I hope you do, and I hope you will. I want to pray for you, and then we'll sign off. Jesus, for anyone watching right now, I pray that our heart would be like that of Solomon, that we would seek your wisdom. There's so many things we could want and we could ask for in this world, and sometimes we ask for selfish things. But you are so pleased by a request for your wisdom, by the desire to honor you and live for you and to live according to you. And I just pray that you would fill each and every one of us with your wisdom, that our lives would be marked by a life of surrender to your truth, that you would fill us with all of your wisdom, and that we would listen and respond well, because in keeping your word, there is great, great reward. I pray for blessings over Bible studies this week, and for personal study and personal prayer time, and just continuing devotion to you. May it be radiant, may it be joy-filled, may it be bountiful, and may each of us grow closer to you this week in response to this message. That's my prayer, and everyone who agrees with that says amen. Amen. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.